This is the XT4 from Fujifilm, and I've had it for about 3 weeks. It's on loan from Fuji themselves, and I have to return it. So before I do, I wanted to go through why I'm interested in this camera in the first place for backpacking, and I want to go through 3 lenses. So that's what we're going to go over in this video today from the perspective of a backpacker slash adventure style photography and videography. So stick around. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Emory. Thank you so much for being here and welcome to Better Backpacking. That is what this channel is all about, just getting better at backpacking. And it really doesn't matter what kind of backpacking you're doing. I myself enjoy a number of different styles. I started out with backpack hunting, moved on to thru hiking, and now I'm just kind of backpacking with my friends and my family. I went backpacking with a 9-month-old, so I'm kind of across the board, and the whole idea behind this channel and everything I do with By Land is just to help people like yourself get better at backpacking, because that's really all that matters at the end of the day. So let's talk about the Fujifilm XT4. Before we get into this whole thing, I'm a backpacker. That means I'm out in the weather, and there are specific things that I need in a camera system for me to be willing to take it out. The biggest thing for me as a backpacker and someone that's out in the elements is weather sealing or weather resistance. The Fujifilm XT4 is weather resistant, and so are all of these lenses. This is the 23mm f2, the 40-150 f2.8, and the 16-55 f2.8. Every single one of these lenses is weather resistant. That means I can keep it out on me when it starts raining or when it starts snowing or when the dust kicks up. If you're a backpacker or adventure anything, you like to be out in the elements, don't get a system that you have to put in your backpack the minute the weather moves in. It's basically pointless. That is what attracted me to the Fujifilm XT4 and this kit is the weather resistance. So I wanted to look at it from the perspective of someone who is conscious of weight, needs it to be rugged, and just wants a fun camera to use. The camera's rugged, it's gonna do a great job. You can keep it out on your backpack strap in the weather. Quality-wise, this is a really quality system. I don't know who out there could say that it's not, because the images that I've pulled from it, and I am not a professional photographer, I've got some nice pictures right away. They're super clean, and the film simulations from Fujifilm that are inside this camera that are so unique to Fujifilm are absolutely incredible. It's super fun to use. The tactile feel of the buttons and the dials makes the camera fun to use. Photography, like backpacking, is supposed to be fun. If your gear doesn't inspire you, what's the point? Yeah, it might be the best camera in the world, or it might be the best backpack in the world, but if you're not excited to use it, you've wasted your money, right? Every time I go to pick this camera up in the last 3 weeks, I'm like, this is a cool camera. I really like using it. It's fun to manipulate the dials. I feel like I learn more about photography every single time I use it, and I am far more intentional about the images and the videos that I'm taking. When you have to physically spin the aperture dial to get a look that you're trying to achieve, you're automatically more intentional than if you were by just flicking your thumb or your forefinger. Fujifilm has designed their camera systems to be quality and fun to use and intentional. It kind of forces you to slow down a little bit so you can take more quality images and have more keepers, I guess. So instead of just like spraying and praying, I'm just gonna spin the dials and snap, 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 and do all that stuff. That doesn't help you when you go to check out your images on your computer. It doesn't help you at all. So the Fujifilm system takes great images, it's fun to use, it's inspiring, it's cool as heck, and it's pretty ergonomic for the most part. You can flip between stills and video very quickly, and not to mention, it's got 2 card slots, which is huge. You can back up your photos right away. The battery life, this battery is new for the Fujifilm XT4. Battery life is huge in the backcountry, right? If your camera's on all day long, you need it to last. So you have a long-lasting battery, and you can charge it via USB. You pop this puppy open, that little window right there, you put your power bank in, you can charge your camera overnight while you sleep in the backcountry. That's huge. Otherwise, you're stuck bringing a bunch of batteries. So having the ability to charge your camera in the backcountry via USB, having the main battery last a long time, having it be rugged to last through any sort of weather you might experience, it's a backpacker's dream. To put icing on the cake, this is a big freaking lens, right? It's heavy, it's optically stabilized, so there's even more hardware in it. But let's say I'm covering a bunch of miles, right? And I just want to capture my journey, where this system in APS-C, and I will say Micro Four Thirds, blast full frame out of the freaking water, is you can go from a lens like this, a standard zoom, this is the equivalent of a 24 to 70, and you can flip over to buying a cheap quality lens that produces an amazing image that is incredibly lightweight. Let me just put these things together real fast so you can see the difference. This is a standard pro style configuration, right? You got 2.8, it's a zoom, so you can get some nice portraits and you can get some nice landscapes, right? This is a great combination for backpackers, but it's also a little heavy. So if I'm not going very far, that's great. But if I'm a thru hiker and I'm trying to cover 20 miles a day, 25 miles a day, this might get a little heavy. So you take this lens off and you say, well, weight is really, really important to me on this trip. I want to capture some awesome images, but I really don't want to carry around a heavy camera. That's it. That's it. That's all you got. It's a fixed focal length. If you've never shot with a fixed focal length, it's a heck of a lot of fun and it teaches you a lot more about photography. All that to say, the flexibility of this system is incredible. That's almost the tipping point for me. Like, to be able to go from big lenses to this, if I so choose, that's hard to freaking beat, right? A full frame camera system cannot compete with a lens like this. It just can't. In terms of image quality is great. I don't see a problem with it. If there's one thing that I can say about this camera that's not like amazing, it's that the eye autofocus needs a little improvement. I personally don't use eye autofocus. My Olympus camera doesn't have the best eye autofocus or face tracking in general, so I just kind of do an old school way of shooting, which is totally fine. But that's the big thing, that's the big trend right now with cameras, is professional style cameras like the Sony A7 line and the Canon lines. They have really awesome face and eye detection. You're gonna get a good face and eye detect with this. When it works great. But when it doesn't, it doesn't. And you're having to flip it on, flip it off. So aside from that, that's basically the only issue I have. Now, do I want to buy this system? Kind of. This checks all of the boxes. If you're coming from zero camera and you're backpacking, this is it. I don't see why you would want to get anything else. Unless you are trying to break into the photography world and you want the very best system you can get. If that's the case and you have the money and you have the means, get the full frame. If you want to be a photographer and you want to have a professional camera that's going to give you all the Gucci features, then you should probably go full frame. That's the industry standard. That's just how it is. But maybe you just want to take some really awesome photos and post them to Instagram or post them to your own website. You're trying to build a brand. You're trying to do something like that. That's what I'd be using it for, building a brand, my own personal projects. It's kind of hard to beat, right? So it's kind of my thought. And in terms of the lenses, all three of these lenses are great. I've got really great images out of this little 23 millimeter, great images out of this guy. And holy smokes, the images that come out of this. The first time I put this on the camera, I went on a walk with my little girl and snapped some pictures, and my wife was like, I might need you to buy that camera. So, I don't know. It's just a great system. So it's on me to decide what I want to do. I hope this was helpful. I'll probably have some additional thoughts about the system as a whole, but before I sent it back, I wanted to at least get this initial review out. Backpacking and photography are kind of go together, and it's very hard to navigate what you need out there. So this type of video I would like to do more of in the future. If you like this kind of thing, let me know. Let me know if it was helpful. And if you're a brand out there and you want to send me some cameras to try out, and look at it from a backpacker's point of view, man, I would love to do more of that stuff. Because this stuff's really important. When you go on a trip into the backcountry, you want to come home with some memories, and a lot of times that's in pictures and videos. And if you're trying to build a brand, man, it's even more important, right? So yeah, thanks for sticking around. If you like this video, let me know. But if you're headed out on an adventure anytime soon, whether it's for photography or hunting or through hiking or whatever it might be safe, make great decisions, and we'll see you next time.